Back here in studio, in the comparative relaxed atmosphere of the studio, joining Simon and myself, it's Thursday lunchtime. Of course, Spencer, as always, is here, and we're delighted to say so too is promoter Ben Shalom. It's not only in the world of boxing, there's a bit of uproar, mate. It's all happening in the world of football as well with Chelsea. So, Ben, we are approaching the deadline for Amir Khan to make his decision as to whether or not to invoke his rematch clause with Kell Brook. What's looking more likely?
Past few days I've received emails, texts, everything. Amir wants the rematch. He really does want the rematch. I don't think it will happen. If I'm honest, I don't think as a promoter I can see the reason why it should happen. I'm yet to sit down with Amir and really understand where he's coming from an injury point of view, from a preparation point of view. I think his ego is very hurt and he doesn't want to be remembered for that fight. And I don't think he will be. But I think that's where it's coming from. And so, honestly, Amir Khan wants a rematch.
Are you going to try and talk him out of it?
I'm gonna try and make sure he makes a sensible decision, because I don't think rematches.
Well, the problem was it was always about bragging rights and legacy, wasn't it? And the fight that you're going to be remembered for, because it was so long in the making, 10 years in the making or whatever, and it was very conclusive, very one-sided. And I think that Amir, his ego was bruised a lot. I spoke to him afterwards in the dressing room actually, and he was very, very down, but. The conversation I had in the dressing room afterwards, and I know it was initially straight after the fight, but he was like, I said to him, look, Father Time catches up with every fighter, and unfortunately, Amir, it caught up with you tonight. You didn't look like you was there from the off, and he was like, you know what, yeah, I know that. And I said, look, you can still put all your energy into promoting fighters or managing fighters, or you can stay involved in the sport. And that was sort of like where we left it. And I thought, because it was so conclusive, because it was so one-sided, that would be it. But now rumours have circulated.
But he's spun up a narrative, though, isn't he?
But he's walking around with a sling. He has got a shoulder injury.
Sure.
He did have 10 weeks versus Kell Brook, 6 months.
Yeah.
He was with a new trainer. He was away from home. He may have underestimated Kell. So these are all the things that are going on in his head.
If he wants a rematch, he'll get one.
The problem, Jim, is the appetite of the fans. Will they want to see the rematch because it was that one-sided? That's the problem.
Would you want to see it, Simon?
I was very disappointed in Amir Khan. I anticipated he would be better than he was, but the moment I saw him, obviously I bet on him and I stayed with my bet because I didn't want to flip-flop. The moment I saw him at the weigh-in, I was like, okay.
Really?
There's one that looks like he's ready to fight, and there's one that looks like he wishes he wasn't here.
Yes.
The problem I've got as a promoter is those two go in the ring again. If Amir Khan, the same thing happens, you're going to be accused of it's dangerous, money grabbing, all this. On the flip side, if it miraculously went the other way, then it's a genius move. But for me, it doesn't seem like a sensible option, does it?
With all due respect, do you think you made a mistake, Ben, having a rematch clause in there?
Amir Khan,
he delivered a fight that people couldn't make.
I had to deliver whatever it took, and look, the rematch clause, it's not something that's going to hold me down to have to do it. It would have to make sense, So it's not as it seems, in the sense that if Amir decides, then we all have to, Kell, myself, have to go and do that.
There's have to be a certain amount of economics achieved to be able to make it happen. Yeah.
Listen, Ben, before you go, big news on Richard Riakporhe, isn't there?
Richard Riakporhe is bordering on world titles.
Yep.
His opponent Fabio Turchi, which was going to get him to the eliminator spot, pulled out. Similarly, Mikel Lawal, who was fighting for the British cruiserweight title against Dion Juma, he had to pull out with injury, and Richard has taken on the tough task of taking on Dion Juma now, an unbeaten 15-0 British cruiserweight southpaw in the headline fight, and I think it says everything about Richard Riakporhe. He doesn't need to take this fight. It's a very risky fight.
It's a high risk, low reward fight, and Dion Juma can fight. It's a slick southpaw. It's a dangerous fight actually for Riakporhe in the position that he's in. So credit to him for taking that fight.
But it's another British grudge match, and we've just had Eubank Williams, we've just had Brook, we just had Taylor Cottrell. We're continuing that theme, and it's now a massive fight now.
And also, you've got hot prospect Dan Aziz on the undercard as well, who's unbeaten as well in 14, 15 fights, 10 KOs. He can really fight.
If he gets past this, which I suspect he probably will, and gets himself a belt, do you see a collision course between him and Lawrence?
100%.
Yeah.
I think Richard's on course for a world title. Lawrence already has his. Yeah. We might be looking at another British unification fight. 100%. But as Spencer says, Dan Aziz is on that card as well. Fraser Clark, the Olympian heavyweight, got another step up. Adam Azim, 19 years old, in his third fight, is now going to fight the Southern Area champion. He's on course to. We think he'll be our first world champion.
The other day, wasn't he?
Okay.
And big fight now, March 26th.
Ben, just
Wembley.
before you go, let me take you back to the controversial verdict. Catterall not getting the nod against Taylor, and we know that Foster, he scored it in favour of Catterall, but Victor Loughlin and the man we were talking about earlier, Ian John Lewis, scored it in favour of Taylor. In fact, Ian John Lewis scored it 114-111 in favour of Taylor. Just while we've been speaking, in the last few moments, the British Boxing Board of Control have announced that they have downgraded Ian John Lewis following his scorecard for the Taylor-Catterall decision, and they've contacted all 4 governing bodies about making Catterall mandatory for another title shot.
I think that sounds like we're on the right route.
Absolutely.
But he should get another shot at all 4 bouts, not one. And so it's now, the problem is there's so many governing bodies, you have to get on the same page, but that seems like a step in the right direction. Obviously, I've heard that for the first time. And I think there is, and that's why I'm saying this could be a pivotal moment. I genuinely sense there's genuine intention now for the first time.
But there's no indication that you can get Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall back in the ring, is there?
We can make a rematch, but it won't be at 140, and therefore it won't be for
Undisputed, yeah.
And that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for Catterall, who makes 140 comfortably. Okay. Taylor's got to move up.
But certainly, we've been saying, are they going to do anything about it? Well, they have done something about it.
That's a move in the right direction.
And
definitely.
Ian John Lewis has been downgraded as a boxing judge. Ben, you always deliver, and thank you for coming in again.
Cheers, Jim.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.